Mhm. Good day, everyone. Thank you for joining us again in this LinkedIn Live. My name is Javier Navarro. I'm VP of Strategic Solutions for Mexico at Redwood Logistics, and I'm joined by Mariana Priego. Hi, Mariana.
Hello, everyone. This is Mariana Priego. I'm based in Mexico City, and I'm also part of the sales team as a strategic sales manager. So thank you for being here.
All right, we're here to discuss what's in mouth of everyone this day, especially with the deadline tomorrow for potential tariffs again from Mexico into the U.S. and Canada into the U.S. We've had a lot of comments from customers and potential customers that we're starting to work with on what are we doing, what can we do, what can we improve, can we go around this, can we not go around this, what's the best way to try to mitigate the situation here. And this is where we try to put this together for you and start sharing the sort of like a top 5 tips and best practices that we see in the industry that will help us navigate this difficult situation, right? So we can go to the next slide, please. Good. All right. I'll start with a little background on where are we today, right? So April 2nd, tomorrow, has been named by the Trump administration as Liberation Day, a key milestone in their foreign trade relationship, not just with Mexico, but apparently with many other countries in the world, right? What we know so far is that they're definitely ruling impacting finished vehicles and auto parts going into the U.S. with a 25% tariff, with the exemption of those parts that have some subparts with U.S. origin. How that's going to be measured, they still don't know. Is it going to apply on day one? Apparently it is, but I don't know how they're going to do that. Part of drawback, we don't have that exactly clear right now. Also, there's multiple parts in the automotive change that cross the border multiple times, going to the US, back into Mexico, going to the US, back into Mexico. So how that's going to be accounted for, it has not been entirely clear, right? Mr. Ebrard from the Mexican government has been with the Secretary of Commerce in the US 6 times already this year, discussing how to get that done. Hopefully we'll get some clarity tomorrow, right? On this whole situation, Mexico and Canada are taking 2 different stances, 2 different positions against the US, right? Canada came out when they heard about the tariffs with some comments about retaliation and being a little more upfront about it. Nothing wrong with this, just a stance that Canada decided to take. Mexico on the other side is taking more of a wait and see approach, trying to leave the door open for negotiation. Which one will work best? We still don't know. But as of today, at least from the Trump administration, the comments have been way more positive towards Mexico than towards Canada, of course. And Mr. Trump even saying that President Sheinbaum is a very strong woman. I remember a comment saying you're tough in one of the phone calls. With coming from Mr. Trump, I would say maybe it's potentially a big compliment, right? So we'll see tomorrow. President Sheinbaum has said that on April 3rd, depending on what happens on April 2nd, she will make an announcement on what's coming. How is Mexico gonna react to that, right? We are seeing some new investment into Mexico beginning to slow down, right? So big investments, especially from Asian companies, have been put into pause. BYD, one of the largest electric auto manufacturer in the world, was setting up to make a big investment in Mexico for an assembly plant of cars. Now they basically said it's on hold. However, on the other side, an American company, Walmart, is preparing to invest $5 billion into Mexico, right? So we see 2 different stances also from different companies. Many companies don't believe this is going to last and affect them. Many do, so we're taking a more calm approach, right? companies are now exploring alternative sourcing in Latin America and the Caribbean, right? So suppliers in South America, Argentina, Chile. There's companies moving manufacturing to Dominican Republic to try to serve the American market. So we start seeing some of those strategic moves from different companies. That's also important to show, right? And also important to mention, since the beginning of the year, the Mexican peso has weakened against the dollar, but now Mexico is starting to show some signs of contraction in the economy. Many analysts say that there could be a recession in Mexico because of this, which it's not crazy. 80% of the exports of the country go into the US. So at 25% would definitely a big hit, right? Now, how can we react to that? And in the logistics environment, we're going to talk a little about that. So the next slide, please.
Thank you. Well, yes, as you mentioned, the new tariffs will have significant implications for everyone, business, importers, exporters, and trade policies between the two countries. So we want to give these 5 tips, like to soften the blow. And well, the next one, please. We can begin with optimize our supply chain. I think is one of the most important things to do. So what we can do, so review the supplier network, identify suppliers that could be more cost effective or geographically closer to reduce the tariffs or shipping costs. Sourcing strategy adjustments, also shift from higher tariff product categories to alternatives that may not be impacted or that have lower tariffs. Also, the warehousing and inventory, we can reevaluate our warehousing strategy to create maybe stock piles of key raw materials or finished goods in advance, to minimize the impact of any tariff implementation, and also identify the vulnerable areas. Areas are most vulnerable include those that rely heavily on cross-border shipments, such as automotive, electronics, raw material, etc. So any industry reliant on U.S. Imports or exports are at risk of this disruption.
Yeah, this part is very, very important to mention, because it's basically starts shaving off what's not super valuable in your supply chain. What can we take off, right? Can you remove a couple of distribution centers? Can you go direct to the customer? Can you renegotiate your terms or purchase your Incoterms with some suppliers? All of those changes will definitely add up in the end. So definitely optimizing the supply chain is the first thing where we would need to advise to potential customers. Right? Next one, please. Okay, alternative logistics strategies. Right, this is also important. Right, what transportation routes can be efficient, more efficient? Can we switch to milk runs instead of less than truckload? Right, can we do short-term storage at the border? Right, maybe a bonded warehouse. Can we do sub-assemblies there? Can we add some value added in the U.S. that will help us with the tariffs going into that country, right? Now, visibility and control, that becomes very important right now. So if a material planner has that visibility in advance of what's coming, where it's coming from, then you can actually forecast the amount of duties that you're going to have to pay going forward. So having visibility and control of what's coming into your plan and what's going out of it, it's definitely important, right? Another big one is a global trade management tool. Global trade management from Oracle, for example, at Redwood, we have that tool available for our customers. Basically keeps you up to date on a daily basis on any changes on trade, what type of goods are affected, what goods are not affected. It gives you visibility and allows you to plan even your purchasing and your supply chain way in advance, what countries are affected, which are not. If you need to switch suppliers, then a global trade management is definitely a good way to go on that one. And the other one is get closer to your customs broker. The customs brokers are very, very close with CBP, with the IRS, with all the new regulations, and they're the best guide for you to understand how can you start working around this potential regulations, right? There's no way around a tariff, right? If you go straight at it, but if you do a multiple strategy solution that basically we do bonded warehousing with changing some negotiations, with potentially changing an HS code if you add a couple of items to your product. Those things custom brokers can guide you through it and be close to them. So
Yes, I think collaboration is the key with your customs broker, legal advisor, broker. Like collaboration is the key. Well, another one is how should we approach this to ensure compliance and avoid penalties? Stay informed. No, stay informed also is the key always. Regularly monitor government updates, especially regarding tariffs, trade agreements, border restrictions. Also, leverage the trade agreements. Ensure that you are making full use of trade agreements like the TMEC to avoid tariffs, especially for the products that meet the required rules of origin. I think this is the key with the tariffs. The customs compliance and documentation. You have to maintain impeccable record keeping and documentation practices to ensure smooth customs processing and compliance with any update regulations, and create a risk management plan. You have to be prepared. A contingency plan is quickly to adapt to changes, including the hiring maybe of external compliance consultants. If you need it, review internal processes to ensure rapid adaptation, or any plan that you can add.
that's right. I think I'm going to go back again to my comment on the global trade management tool. That definitely is a software that will allow you to be compliant at all points, right? Right now, especially if you're in the automotive industry, as I mentioned in the beginning, right? And you have components with U.S. origin put into your product, and you're a tier one, tier two provider for an OEM in the US. You're sending products to Smyrna, you're sending to Michigan, and for different assemblies. It's definitely good to start understanding where is all this coming from and put a risk management plan on it, right? So can you increase the amount of US based components, right? Can you switch to another country? Can you change the HS code by adding a couple things? So those things to have in consideration is definitely interesting for compliance. Next, please. Okay, flexibility. This is very important. This is something that at Redwood we always push for, right? Increasing your flexibility in your supply chain will allow you to move quickly and pivot in different directions whenever it's needed. So diversify your suppliers, right? If you have more than one nuts and bolts supplier, it's always good to have. If you have it now in multiple markets, it's way better than before, right? Leverage a foreign trade zone. The foreign trade zone is definitely a good tool to start thinking about now, where you can start sending products there and not have a $1 million hit in import duties at a time. Maybe you put it there for a while, add a couple of American components, and then put it out and start sending on a regular basis out of that facility. It's always a good scenario. If you evaluate a just-in-time strategy, same situation. Instead of sending your product and having 2 weeks of inventory in the US close to your end customer, start doing maybe a just-in-time and have 3 to 5 days of inventory. That will definitely lower the burden on taxes, on tariffs to moving to the US, right? And also technological tools, as I said, right? The more visibility you have, the more control you have, the more flexible you are. You can play with different suppliers also in the logistics area that can provide transportation and customs and warehousing and visibility, right? Because when you need it and when there's an issue at the border or in transit, you want someone and you want a supplier that can react quickly and that have the capabilities and the relationships to serve you.
Definitely. And the transportation management system will, of course, give you the visibility and also the information to make decisions in real time. The next one, please. Thank you. Well, the strategic partners and collaborations. We go back. Well, what we think is really important, the freight forwarders, partnering with reliable freight forwarders who specialize in cross-border operations in Mexico and the US. Of course, that can help us to navigate customs, border delays, like everything more efficiently. The customs brokers, we go back, a strong relationship with experienced custom brokers are critical. They can provide expertise on the latest tariff classifications, customs process, and of course, minimize the risk of fines due to a non-compliance. A 3PL, third-party logistics provider, consider working with this is also about the flexibility that you mentioned before in warehousing, transportation, and inventory. Those with experience can help us to provide the capacity during the high demand period or any supply chain disruption, and also the partnership with industry groups. Join these industry groups or trade associations can advocate on behalf of business regarding potential tariffs, policy shifts, providing insights into possibly changes and the collective response of the industry.
Yeah, I think the more we can collaborate in these times between manufacturing companies, but also with your suppliers, is definitely going to make you stronger, right? If you're in the US and you want to join a national chamber of commerce, you need to join the automotive cluster of your region. If you're in the US, you want to join RELA. If it applies to you, if you want to do remanufacturing materials. So there's different chambers that are right now offering talks and support and guidance on how to navigate all these issues. So definitely establish a partnership with all your suppliers, with your freight forwarder, with your broker, with your transportation provider. So whenever issues arise, there's that backup on your end, right? And I'd like to close this with a little conclusion on maybe three things that we see it'll be good, just as a summary, right? Number one, define what's your biggest risk right now, right? Do you have biggest risk on a specific item, a specific product, right? Is it a product that you purchase? Is it a product that you manufacture completely, right? Can you change anything about it? Can you change the terms of purchase? Can you change the terms of sale, right? Can you change anything that will allow you to reduce that burden on tariffs, right? Second, partner with flexible, capable providers. This is now more important than ever, right? You need a partner in the logistics area, in the customs area, in the technology area that can move in between different scenarios and start providing and giving you feedback on how things are going, because you don't know at this point what things are going to be needed to change in 6 months, in 12 months, right? And the other one is leverage technology, having that visibility, that control, knowing exactly where things are and being able to plan ahead and forecast different scenarios will definitely allow you. If you have operations across North America, across Canada, US, Mexico, and all three different countries, you definitely have multiple facilities, multiple types of products, many things moving in the air. A technological tool will definitely help you, right?
Definitely. I just want to add, sorry, that is really important to stay informed, like be prepared for any potential price adjustment for the tariffs that will come into effect and adjust the strategies accordingly to ensure continued success and be prepared for everything.
Yeah. And we'd like to close this by inviting you all to our Cross-Border Logistics Council. This is Redwood's biggest event of the year. We'll have our Logistics Council, our Customer Advisory Board, and Women in Logistics launching on also to celebrate women in this discipline, 9th and 10th April in Monterrey, Mexico. So if you're interested to join, we're going to have conferences. This is not a sales fest about Redwood. We're definitely going to talk about industry. We're going to talk about customs. We're going to talk how companies are trying to circumvent this. Come and listen and learn from your peers in logistics for these 2 days. How to do that. That's a little QR code. If you want to check the agenda, register, please consider yourself invited. Send us a message here on LinkedIn or an email, and we'll be happy to have you there and see you all in Monterrey next week, right, Mariana?
Hopefully.
All right, then. Thank you all. That is all for us for today. Hope you enjoy this and it was useful for you. And we'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Thank you.